Sierra has all the best active and outdoor brands you need. From athletic stuff, like a full court pickup game, swish, to athletic-ish stuff, like a half-mile stroll. Get those steps in. And for morning hikes up the mountain trail, good pace. To nighttime ghost stories from the camping chair. What a twist. Whatever level of active, Sierra loves it all. Head to Sierra or Sierra.com for the brands you want at the prices that let you do it all. From athletic to athletic-ish, Sierra's got it.
Rinse knows that greatness takes time, but so does laundry. So Rinse will take your laundry and hand-deliver it to your door expertly cleaned. And you can take the time pursuing your passions. Time once spent sorting and waiting, folding and queuing, now spent challenging and innovating and pushing your way to greatness. So pick up the Irish flute or those calligraphy pens or that daunting beef Wellington recipe card and leave the laundry to us. Rinse. It's time to be great.
This is Optimal Health Daily, Why I've Started, quote-unquote, Running, by Jessi Kneeland of JessiKneeland.com. And I'm Dr. Neil Malik. Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Optimal Health Daily. This is where I read to you from some of the best health and fitness blogs on the web, kind of like an ongoing audiobook, and always with a bit of my commentary at the end. All right, and with that, let's get right to today's post as we optimize your life. Why I've Started, quote-unquote, Running, by Jessi Kneeland of JessiKneeland.com. So, I've recently started running. Okay. If I'm being totally honest, calling what I've been doing running would be a bit of an exaggeration. What I've been doing is just dipping a teeny tiny toe into the very shallow waters of running, by occasionally including a small handful of running intervals during my walks outside. It started a few months ago, when an incredibly stressful situation with a family member left me feeling a weird combination of agitation, anxiety, and frustration. Thinking I would just go for a walk to calm down, I put on my lightest running shoes and headed outside. But as I walked, I kept finding myself picking up the speed, wanting to go faster. I was responding to an intuitive sense that something still needed to be cast out of me or burned up. And the walk just wasn't doing the trick. So I figured, okay, let me try putting on some music, setting a little interval timer, and doing a few minutes of jogging on and off. Oof. I only did about 4 total minutes of running that day, but let me tell you, it did the trick. Sure, I turned the color of a tomato and my legs were sore for days, but pushing myself like that got the offending energy out. And that was the point. If you've been following me since my personal training days, you know that I love lifting weights, but I hate cardio. So this was actually a pretty big deal for me. The thing is, I have very few truly reliable, effective, and repeatable tools to improve my mood and mental health, and moving my body has always been one of them. But generally speaking, I really dislike the feeling of getting my heart rate up, so I tend to avoid any and all activities that do so. Especially running, thanks to the traumatizing mile run situation that happened every year in gym class. What I love about moving my body is feeling powerful, strong, empowered, and free. All things I feel when I'm lifting heavy weights, dancing, jumping, and trying new skills. But steady state cardio, where you get your heart rate up a bit and then keep it up in more or less the same range for the rest of the activity, tends to make me feel small, weak, and claustrophobic. Part of me thinks it's because I had asthma as a kid, and I've had pneumonia and bronchitis a million times, so maybe my lungs are a little damaged or something. But either way, the end result is that I just don't like it. That said, I obviously recognize that cardio is good for you, so I've worked through this a million ways over the years, both with therapists and at the gym, and I've even gone through long phases of intentional training to improve my cardiovascular system. The training would work, technically speaking, but progress always seemed much slower and more painful for me than it was for other people, and being in better cardiovascular shape never made me enjoy the experience anymore. So for the sake of sustainability and joy, I've spent most of my adult life doing activities that feel good and fun and empowering, and I've left the running and biking and hiking to others. But a while back, I realized that there seemed to be a stronger connection between workouts that got my heart rate up a bit and the improved mood and mental health I was seeking, especially when my stress manifests as that agitated restlessness I described before, which actually makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Sometimes our bodies identify a threat and determine that we need to flee or fight, so they give us the literal energy we need to do so. But when the source of that stress isn't something we can literally flee from, we still need to use up and metabolize that runaway energy out of us somehow. So what could be more appropriate than taking all that runaway energy my body is giving me and going for a literal run? It just makes good sense, and the immediate benefit was pretty obvious when I got home and noticed that I could think clearly and be present again. Do I have any plans to keep this up, become a runner, or train for something like a race? No. Probably not. That's not really my vibe. But for as long as I need an outlet for this energy, I will continue giving myself one. And since I can't very well expect my joints to be happy about occasional bursts of running out of nowhere, I will continue building my capacity to call upon this tool safely whenever I need it. Because sometimes we train for fun, and sometimes we train to be safe and stable, physically, mentally, and emotionally. You just listened to the post titled, Why I've Started, Running, by Jessi Kneeland of JessiKneeland.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary. Right now, there's a talented person out there who could take your company to the next level. Do you want to hope they see your job post before your competitors? Or do you want to match with them with Indeed sponsored jobs? Stop struggling to get your job post even seen on other sites. Give your job the best chance to be seen with Indeed sponsored jobs. When I was looking to hire, it was so slow and overwhelming. I wish I had used Indeed. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results now with Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/health. Just go to Indeed.com/health right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/health. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Do it the right way with Indeed. Dr. Neil here with my commentary. I'm a lot like today's author Jessi when it comes to running. I never really liked running. I played soccer and baseball for 10 years, and we would always start practices and games with a warm-up running laps around the field. You would think that after 10 years of this, I would grow to like it. Nope, no such luck. To this day, when my coach prescribes a running workout, I cringe because I know I'm probably going to come in last and the most out of breath compared to everyone else. But here's the thing. After the run, I'm always glad I did it. I don't think there was ever a time where I finished a run and thought to myself, wow, that was a big mistake. Instead, I have these overwhelming feelings of pride and accomplishment when I'm done. I'm always glad I did it. After I finally catch my breath, that is. So if you don't like running, today's author, Jessi, and I understand. But give it a try. Even if you run for 20 seconds at a time before stopping to walk, it still counts. And before you know, those 20 seconds start to add up. And just remember, if you come in last or you're out of breath, I've been there too. All right, that'll do it for today. Of course, I'll be back here tomorrow for our usual Friday Q&A, so definitely stay tuned for that, where your optimal life awaits.